So, I'm going to cut this last part into 2 parts. I was planning on this being the last part, but I recorded way too much audio, and in the interest of not making you wait ages for one long part, it'll be around 2 8-minute parts, which will take me about half the time to produce each, so win-win. So, before we were going to leave, the party wanted to visit Marlowe's again to spend any of the money they had. Julian had little interest in shopping at this point, but used this time to investigate his heritage a little. His mother, father, and sister were all human, and he was definitely not just human. Most of the game, Julian just said he was a human, to avoid conflict, and as a kid he was very much the same. He was so scared of the confrontation from his family that when his more Fey-like features started to show, namely his ears, he took to them with a pair of scissors. He found this ritual spell that would draw out his family tree on the ground where it was casted. He and some others watched with bated breath as his name started to carve itself in the snow. He watched as the branches slowly started to sprawl off of it, and as it got to where his mother and father's names should have been, there was nothing. Neither was his sister's that should have been next to him. He could barely be surprised at this point. While disappointed, he really didn't know what to expect. The others arrived back, and to Julian's surprise, Miriam also showed up. His heart felt heavy seeing her after the previous encounter, but he held his tongue. Dorian told everyone that each house had a special blade. We had seen ours on the mantle above our fireplace, but no one could wield it, till now. We gathered as many swords and as many people that could wield them. Each sword could only be wielded by someone in that year group. Leku wielded the katana of the Crub Club, Elliot was able to use a rapier of the seniors' house, Yodel could use the blade of the freshman dorms, and we only knew one sophomore that could use the blade in their year group. The one and only legendary Bob. We gave this dude the bare basic information of what was going on and why we needed him to help, and this lad just shrugs and goes with it. He was ready to throw down. So we gathered, the boys, Leku, Elysia, the headmaster, and Bob. We all awaited Gale to take us into the Feywild. There was only one issue. Gale needed an object to basically turn into a portkey. If only we had an object that could function as our gate into the Feywild, or something like a door? So Gale casted his magic on our door and we transported into the hub of all the realms, an area that had many pools that looked like they would lead to the other realms. The only issue was, we weren't alone. There were other people here that looked very interested in us and our door. Things got tense, we could tell they weren't exactly friendly, and as their intentions became clear, a fight broke out. This was the first time we had fought something that wasn't undead or animal creature, and the first time our D&D party actually killed someone. These strange bandits were relentless. We had to run and gun as we started to get our butts kicked. Leku held up the rear, and now that there were some dead people, it's about time you learnt something about Leku. He raised his hand, and with the power of both his new sword and the ring he had, he raised these fallen foes as wights to fight along us. Our boy Leku was a necromancer. And they served their purpose for all of 2 minutes as Elysia, while messing with the gauntlet that one of the strange bandits had, completely dispelled all the magic Leku casted. After a lot of fighting and retreating, we found out they had hid the portal to the Feywild behind a lot of trees and wood. Using a bunch of our spells to go invisible, or go fast, we rushed the portal. Not worried about the bandits that were fighting us, as it seemed like they were stuck in this realm and couldn't follow us without the door. So we finally found our way into the Feywild, and trust me when I say things didn't get any easier from this point. First of all, we were kids again, not teenagers. We were small little dudes. Along with that, we were all scared of various things that either made complete sense or were completely off the wall, like Yodel being scared of doors. It was meant to be like a childhood fear resurfacing, but for the most part it was just fun. Now, we spent way too long trying to cross this river, when at the last second we all remembered we had flying brooms. We stopped at a bridge where some mermaid chicks started to try and sing us down. Dante was about to jump before I had Julian sack tap him so we could move on. We got to the first town, found out that human children were considered something of royalty in these parts. Along with that, a child human was often declared king of summer. So we all, one by one, were tested to see if one of us was by chance the king, and of course it was our boy Elliot. They took us to the castle, that was Elliot's now I guess. The Blossom Lady was there, whose name was Aurora by the way, I just found that out. And she gave us the skinny of the sitch. The only way for us to be strong enough to use this weapon that we had to kill the Mothman was to use the power of the old Lord of Summer. The only problem was that he was locked away and the Mothman had the key to his prison. The plan was to split up into two teams. One half of us would sneak into the Winter Castle, while the other half would wage war at his gates, distracting him while we were inside. We had a few moments to prepare for the battle ahead. Elysia and Dante spent their time with the mechanics making siege weaponry as fast as they could. Leku, who with his powerful ring and katana went outside and, I assume, to stress test the powers he had, actually managed to create a legit duplication of himself. Not simulacrum or clone, or any spell among that list. He created himself again. We were really unsure of the logistics of this spell, but it was very, very powerful, with the equivalent of around 15 levels of spell slots put into it. So now we had another Leku, I guess? We started calling him Ukel, but in hindsight that's probably pretty mean. Before the battle, Julian didn't want to go in with any regrets. He approached Miriam as they were in the armory and opened up to her about his stress and anxieties, apologizing profusely about what had happened from her knowing him, her getting killed and accidentally re-sealing her brother. But Miriam was still there. She could have not came with us to the Feywild, and she told Julian that while she did come to Swinthus to find her brother, she found other amazing reasons to stay. A sentiment that rang pretty loudly in Julian's ears, and all this bottled up emotion erupted inside him, and he pulled her in for a kiss. It lasted a few moments before Elliot walked in the room, saw what we were doing and turned on his heel and left, leaving the two of us pretty embarrassed. So, the whole gang was there for the next session, and we rolled up to the gates of the Winter Lord's castle. And, I kind of forgot I'd have to draw an army, and them fighting, so, we're going old school here. Dante, Elysia, and Yertle stayed out the front while the rest of us metal geared our way into the castle. I don't know what the DM was thinking, but for one, we split the party. Then we had to run on one hand mass combat, and on the other a dungeon crawl. How his mind didn't melt from the over-information was amazing. While the lads outside commanded centaurs to rush and the ballista boys to fire their ballista over and over, the rest of us crept through the castle. We found the channeler that Gale was dreaming about, night after night, freeing her from the months of torment, and then made our way to the Lord of Winter's room, where we found the rest of the goodies and called our retreat. Holy smokes, fellas, thanks for making it all the way here. Sorry it's nearly been 2 months, it's just that time of year when all motivation just seems to go out the window. I don't think I've ever taken the time to thank everyone for helping me hit my channel's first milestones, from 100 to 1,000 to now even nearly 3,000 subscribers in just a few months. Blows my mind, so thank you all so much. And even though they say you never should, I still try and read all the comments while I can before they get flooded in. But anyway, mad props to my friend for the music, and stay tuned for the final part. You made it this far, you really don't want to miss that. See you, fellas.